start off. What is your position on preserving the overall quiet, semi-rural nature of the town of Waukesha?
I absolutely believe that it needs to be preserved. I think you need to balance commercial development and the tax dollars that come with that, with the reasons that we're here. There's 3,300 homeowners in the town. I don't know how many business owners are here, but I'm going to bet 99.9% of the people here own a home in the town of Waukesha. Why are you here? Because you have a vested interest. You have the value of your home. You have your lifestyle that you've chosen. And again, I think we're real smart folks for finding the town of Waukesha. Beautifully centrally located, great taxes, the ability to have, room to roam. And we need to preserve that. That needs to be on the forefront of everything that we do. Keep the taxes low and keep our lifestyle the way it is. If everybody wanted to live in the city, they would. We don't want sewer, we don't want city water, we don't want streetlights, we don't want the buses, we don't want the sidewalks. I'm going to make a big assumption there, because otherwise those folks would have city living. Yes, commercial is important, but I do not believe in sacrificing subdivisions and neighborhoods for commercial development. I believe we need to preserve what we have, protect the neighborhood, and do smart development as appropriate, as we did during my tenure. We redeveloped the old Don Jacobs that was empty when we came in 2010. The Walmart was empty when we came in 2010, as was the property that is now St. Vincent de Paul. And those were all redeveloped during the time that I was in office. Certainly don't take responsibility for that, but we fostered relationships and we developed relationships with the developers that we were able to keep the property in. Walmart is still in the town. The St. Vincent de Paul is not, through issues. That is now annexed to the city of Waukesha after I left. A $10,000 loss for all of us every week.
Joe?
Protection of our culture, our community, and keeping it rural has to do with planning and zoning and things along those lines. Making sure that lots are not shrunk down to a point where we are overusing the natural resources, as has occurred in the city. Building multifamily housing, 300 and 400 units on a 25-acre parcel just taxes the land too high. Every time lighting, street lights, has come up in the town since 2010, no matter what pocket of the town it was in, it was aggressively spoken that you didn't want street lights. Nor do I. I like dark skies. It's one of the reasons that we live where we live. I don't want sidewalks. I don't want curbs. I don't want the expense that comes with that. How do you protect that? It has to be a philosophy that you're going to not overdevelop land, that you're going to use the land intelligently from a stance of whether that land should be a commercial. If you can put in industrial, how do you and where do you put those in at so that they don't impact adversely the community around you. The Walgreens was an example of an area where we wanted the commercial development. It was good for the town. My neighbors didn't want the Walgreens or Aldi in large majority. I voted for that development. I countered that balance by negotiating with the property owner to keep that at a 10 p.m. shutdown time and a 24-hour drive-through. That reduced the impact that was adverse to the neighbors, kept that noise down and the road traffic down at a time that they felt was sensitive, and I thought that created a win-win situation for the town and the developer as well as the neighbors.
Thank you. Mike?
As with others at this front of the room tonight, I too love what the town is all about, and it's why I'm here. It's why I chose the house that I did. I remember very specifically a day back in 2000 where I looked at a house in the city and a house at the town on the same day and looked at the tax bill and the sidewalks and the lights, and it was the last house that I ever looked at in the city of Waukesha. It wasn't the house that I ended up buying in the town, but it was a townhouse, and that's where I wound up. And I am about preserving that, but I am also about appropriate commercial development. Since I've been attending town board meetings for 11 or 12 years on a consistent basis, I have consistently heard, usually driven by the fire chief, Dan Buchholz, about commercial development. We gotta have some commercial development. He wasn't talking about paving over the town of Waukesha and putting a Walgreens or a CVS or a car dealership at every location. But he was talking about appropriate levels of commercial development in the town because of the positive effect that they have on the tax base that we are all engaged in. And so I do favor commercial development at the appropriate level, in the appropriate locations. And I understand that sometimes that's in somebody's backyard, and those are difficult decisions to make. But where it's appropriate through zoning and through traffic areas, I do support commercial development. I fear, now that we've all read, that the constant infighting in the board is one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we have recently lost the Walgreens. Because it's critical, once you make that decision to have commercial development, that you look for a good corporate citizen. And I believe that's what we could have had in Walgreens.
Thank you. Jim?
We moved out to the town after having a house up by the hospital in the city of Waukesha. One of the reasons we moved out here is that it was affordable as far as the tax base, but it also was the peace and quiet that we got. We didn't have the sirens going by to the emergency room up by the hospital, but unfortunately when we first moved here, that was the only house that we could afford and the only area that we knew would be adjacent to where we worked. Once we came out to the town and we noticed how quiet it was and you could actually hear the wildlife and the frogs and the birds, it was a whole different experience. It would be great to have everything stay as it was. All the farmland never be developed and everybody running around enjoying the way that it was. But the fact of the matter is that things are developing. And if we don't react and be proactive with the developers and work with them to develop the proper use of that land, they're going to annex to the city and be gone anyways. So I agree that there needs to be that appropriate use of residential and business development so that we can all enjoy the low tax rates that we have and still enjoy the large lots that we have and the so-called country living that we have here.
Thank you. We've reached sort of the end of the program, and I'm sorry I didn't get to all of the questions. I tried to get to most of the ones that were distinct. We will have closing remarks now, starting with Joe.
I first of all want to say thank you for caring enough about the town of Waukesha to spend your night with us and ask good questions and get those answers. I think that's an important part of the electoral process. I would ask you, as you consider who you vote for, to evaluate the record that I've built. I'm the only current incumbent sitting here with a record that you can evaluate. That record includes reducing your tax levy, not because I was forced to, but because it was the right thing to do. That record includes finding ways to negotiate and reach settlement with people who had differing opinions. The Five Diamond Sport Complex, Mr. Bryant had a concern about his billing process that he had back then, and right in public session, I sat with Mr. Bryant and negotiated out a settlement that was a piece that we were able to put that to rest and move forward. I've tried many times to collaborate with the city officials, with county officials. When we lost our clerk that same day, I was sitting in front of the county clerk asking about what are the steps we need to take, where are the danger spots that we have now that we had no clerk treasurer. And she was critical in helping me obtain a solution to that problem and making sure we were on task for the election. I've done the work. I spent the time to put in the research to make sure that my vote was based on fact and based on knowledge, not based on emotion or based on the individual person that stood on the other side of the microphone making the request for a certain petition or a certain request. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie?
The town of Waukesha is near and dear to my heart, as I think it is with all of you. And I've heard a lot of things said tonight about financial statements and the like. The bottom line is, we want to have people on our town board that are going to look out for our interests, that have the backbone to stand up for the principles of reducing taxes and providing a lifestyle that we all came here to do and to enjoy. I mean, think about the railroad noise. It's something that we need to address. This is a lifestyle issue. It's a hassle. And I have yet to see a town board take that up and make a real protracted effort to fix it. These are the issues that we need to be dealing for someone to quote that there's an issue with a financial statement. The town of Waukesha didn't even have the ability to run a financial statement when we walked in the door in 2010. Yes, there were activities there in 2011. Because of my background, I was able to help the town save what's now been quoted as $150 an hour as a QuickBooks expert, because that's what the town has just engaged. You know, that's the work that I did to save us money, to contribute to the bottom line, and to provide as much responsible oversight as possible. I care about the town. I want to reduce taxes. I want to keep the town while being smart, but we need people with the backbone and the knowledge to be able to stand up to the city as need be. Joe Bansky and I, although we're sitting next to each other, don't always agree. In fact, we've had some famous rows as far as that goes. But that's a healthy dialogue. It's important to have people that can respect each other, work with each other, but aren't linked arm in arm. We all need to bring our own thought process and our belief in how we should be serving you, and that's what I wish to continue to do.
Thank you. Jim?
I also want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Great turnout, so thanks for spending your evening here. My campaign promise is to end the bickering. My business background and my real-world experience allows me to do that. I've already explained how I respect and get along with the other board members, and I'll expand that to the other town relationships, the city of Waukesha, which is extremely critical, the town employees, the contractors, the businesses, both current and potential, and our residents. I'll proactively work to ensure a proper balance of residential and commercial, and my transportation background will help induce a healthy debate as far as 3 budget items that affect us that revolve around trucks and transportation. Garbage pickup, replacing fire equipment, and snowplow equipment. Not sure if it's something that we want to get into, but I have those facts. That's what I deal with. I know the hours of service regulations and the reality of hiring CDL drivers to run snowplows. I'll also ensure my support is given to the fire department and the staff and our contracted vendors, which oftentimes are our spokespersons out there and represent the town. And above all, I'll listen to the residents, and I'll do whatever I can to keep this town as it is.
Thank you. Finally, Mike.
Thanks. We've heard many opinions here tonight on many different issues, but I still feel the number one issue confronting the board is the inability to get along on a level that allows them to conduct business. In the 6 weeks that I've been knocking on doors, it has confirmed to me that people are genuinely concerned on their local government's ability to cooperate to do the town's business. It's not that they feel we always have to agree, but when we disagree, they want the business of the town to get done. There's nothing healthy with the constant personal attacks that occur on the current board. I don't believe returning the former chairwoman to the board with the chairman who defeated her in the last election will do anything to improve this situation. I have no personal ties to anyone on the board, and I will always act in what I believe is the best interest of the town above all others, including me. I thank you for being here tonight, and I ask for your vote next Tuesday.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the candidates for this evening and thank the audience for coming out.